Tonight, federal budget unveiled.
If you're the average Canadian, you're looking at this budget, you're going to say, well, it doesn't change my life very much.
A deficit near $80 billion and a trimming of the public service. Job loss likely on the horizon, but not as drastic as the union suggested.
In terms of the likely impact in Ottawa, it's going to be about 14,000 FTEs over this period.
We go one-on-one with the PSAC president for reaction. Plus, pumping the brakes on photo radar cameras.
It does affect what money we do have for road safety action programs that we do have in the city.
How the city plans to adjust to the provincial legislation that will soon bring the program to a grinding halt.
The budget I present today comes at a time of profound change.
The Liberal government tabling its 2025 federal budget, an ambitious fiscal plan to help boost a Canadian economy struggling amid Donald Trump's tariffs. Good evening. Patricia is away tonight. We begin with breaking news. Prime Minister Mark Carney's first budget includes billions of dollars in new spending to try and chart a path forward for the country in the wake of a trade war with the United States. And while it focuses on driving economic growth, the plan to find billions in savings will be felt here in our region, with more public service cuts on the way. The government plans to spend $141 billion in new measures over the next 5 years. That will be offset by $51.2 billion in savings. The deficit is projected to be $78.3 billion in 2025-2026, and that is significantly higher than what was forecast last year. When it comes to job cuts, the budget includes a plan to reduce the size of the federal public service by an additional 28,000 jobs by the year 2029. Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne says the budget is about making investments in Canada.
Bold and swift action is what is needed. To weather the storm of uncertainty, we will not lower ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Quite the opposite. We will raise them to catch the winds of economic change because we believe in Canada.
What's still not clear is if the Liberal minority government will have enough votes to pass the budget, but there could be some interesting political moves on the horizon that could help with that. We'll discuss with CTV senior political correspondent Mike Lecouture momentarily. Right now, though, reaction to the plan from the opposition on Parliament Hill.
And on behalf of all the Canadians who can no longer afford to eat, heat, or house themselves because of Liberal inflation, we Conservatives cannot support this costly Liberal budget.
After having met with our caucus tonight, we could vote in favor of this budget.
We're going to talk to Canadians, particularly working Canadians, and review this budget to see if this budget passes our lens of whether it works for working Canadians.
As it stands right now, would you vote no on the budget?
Absolutely.
With that, the make or break confidence vote will begin. The finance minister saying nothing in this budget should come as a surprise, but Canadians could still be thrusted into a snap December election if it doesn't get the backing of the House. The Liberals campaigned on caps, not cuts, and there could be a political push to hold them accountable on that front. CTV's Austin Lee joins us live in studio with more on the impacts here in Ottawa and the planned public service cuts, Austin.
Yeah, Stefan, you mentioned moments ago, if the budget is passed, job cuts, they are coming, but not at the same rate as what was originally feared by the Public Service Alliance of Canada. The government is also offering early retirement incentives for workers over 50 years old in an effort to reduce the size of the public service by nearly 30,000.
The Liberal government's first budget in over a year and a half is looking to slash the public service.
So we'll have a big impact on the Ottawa-Gatineau area.
The goal? Bringing the government workforce down to 330,000, a drop of 28,000 by 2028-29, or nearly 8%. 16,000 of those positions coming through job cuts, with another 12,000 through voluntary leave, early retirements, and attrition.
In terms of the likely impact in Ottawa, it's going to be about 14,000 FTEs over this period, 2024 to 2028.
As for executives within the public service, The budget calls for a reduction of 1,000 total positions over 2 years. It isn't clear how much the government expects those job reductions will save or which departments will be impacted.
Are we finding the right balance between asking a younger demographic to contribute, asking an older demographic to contribute, and then trying to find efficiencies within the civil service itself and how much they're going to contribute? I hope that we can find even better balance going forward than we did in Budget 2025.
In all, the plan is to reduce government spending by $13 billion annually in 3 years. Part of those savings coming by indexing disability pension benefits to the Consumer Price Index for serving and retired RCMP members. The government says this will save $5.8 billion over 4 years.
They won't see increases at the same rate as they saw before, and as a result, the government will save billions. That's certainly bad news for disabled RCMP pensioners, and it's interesting that they, in particular, have been targeted to fund some of these program changes.
The budget also leans into an increased use of artificial intelligence in an effort to streamline and automate government operations.
It's not simply about we're going to replace the humans with AI. In many cases, you can assist and augment the work of humans with AI tools. So I think that's some of the more interesting use cases.
Now, the budget also promises changes to how much money federal workers pay into the Canada Pension Plan to, quote, save federal employees up to $1,100 in annual pension contributions while maintaining their pension benefit levels. The budget points to an uptick in CPP payments in 2019, which led to workers paying more than what they needed to. Stefan.
All right, CTV's Austin Lee reporting live after a long day in lockup. Thank you, Austin. Ottawa's mayor also weighing in on federal spending and expressing concern for the local economy with a slimming down of its workforce.
It is very concerning to learn about federal job cuts. Almost 50% of federal employees work in the National Capital Region, so that means a loss of up to 8,000 jobs in the next year and up to 20,000 jobs over the next few years. Let's remember these are members of our community who are facing the loss of their livelihood. So my thoughts are with public servants who are feeling anxious about the future.
Sutcliffe says he wants the federal government to work with the city on a transition plan for workers affected by the cuts and also a plan to support the local economy through the changes. Ottawa residents have mixed opinions on the budget.
I'm of two minds about it. It sort of gives me some confidence that they're addressing certain issues like the military, but the deficit is a concern.
I was kind of expecting cuts, and this is basically like it's what I was expecting to have happen. It's what I was hearing. The rumblings about was more to the military and cuts in general.
There's a lot of people struggling with affordability and cost of living and things like that, and so I think that we should be looking at what we can support in terms of social services as opposed to just pouring money into the military.
With more on the major infrastructure and industrial investments included in this budget, here's CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver.
Couldn't be prouder of my finance.
We're ready. Nearly 7 months after getting elected, the Carney government has dropped its first budget, a 406-page book it promises will build Canada strong. Over the next 5 years, Ottawa intends to spend $141 billion in new measures that they project will bring in $51.2 billion in savings. Together, those measures will take Canada's deficit to $78.3 billion this year, dropping to $56.6 billion by 2029-2030.
To weather the storm of uncertainty, we will not lower our sails, Mr. Speaker. Quite the opposite. We will raise them to catch the winds of economic change.
One of the biggest expenditures, defense, with $81.8 billion in spending over 5 years. There's $20.4 billion for the military's recruitment and retention problems, $10.9 billion for upgrades, and $17.9 billion to expand new military capabilities, including procuring new armored vehicles.
It's a real big injection of money, but really interestingly, they don't provide any annual investment or expenditure total. There's no articulation of where year by year that would take us as a share of GDP.
There's also $51 billion over 10 years for a new Build Community Strong Fund to help fund new infrastructure projects, $1.7 billion for an international talent attraction strategy, and $13 billion over 5 years starting in 2025-2026 for Build Canada Homes. That includes $2.8 billion for Indigenous housing. One way Ottawa is bringing down the deficit through changes to the public service. Ottawa wants to shed 28,000 public sector jobs within the next 3 years through cuts, attrition, and a move to incentivize voluntary leave and early retirement. How much that alone will save and where the cuts are coming from is unclear. Ottawa is also hoping to save $60 billion over 5 years through modernization and government efficiencies.
To balance the budget this year, we'd have to eliminate vital social programs and all the capital investments needed for Canada's future. We chose a different path.
But aside from a promise to review bank fees and to automatically file taxes for lower-income Canadians, experts say there's little that will help with affordability.
If you're the average Canadian, you're looking at this budget, you're going to say, well, it doesn't change my life very much. You know, I'm concerned about affordability, I'm concerned about housing costs, and lots of concerns. It doesn't really address any of those things specifically.
Instead, many economists say the budget's aim is to create a better environment for business through measures like a so-called productivity super deduction.
This is a budget that focuses on capital investment because of the context that we are in right now. The economy is quite weak and is under attack because of the tariff issues, and we have a significant uncertainty in the Canadian economy, so businesses are not investing.
For the first time, the budget has been separated into capital investment and operational spending. By 2028-2029, this document anticipates that the operational budget will have a surplus of $1.7 billion. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
And today, CTV confirming this breaking news development. Nova Scotia MP Chris D'Entremont has resigned from the Conservative caucus. Senior political correspondent Mike Lecouture is joining us live. Mike, what are you hearing about this, and could the timing signal something more significant?
Yeah, we are hearing that he could be possibly crossing the floor, although that right now is a bit of an outside possibility. We know that he has resigned from the Conservative caucus, and that means he will sit as an independent as of this moment. CTV News has reached out to him on next steps, asking him what those could be. He said those will be coming soon. Now, it's interesting to note, Stefan, that he did win his riding in this last election by just 533 votes. In second place was the Liberal member. So it was just 1.1% of the votes. But asked by Vashi Kapelos, our chief political correspondent on CTV's Power Play, what was behind this when Vashi did ask Andrew Scheer, the deputy leader of, or the Conservative leader in the House, he said that it goes back to D'Entremont not getting the deputy speaker role in the House of Commons, and he says he still has some old grievances from that. Certainly, we're waiting to hear from D'Entremont for the real answer, and we're hoping to get that as soon as possible.
It would be an interesting move. He's been a Conservative MP since 2019. When it comes to the Conservatives, we've heard from Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre that they will not be backing this budget. What more can you tell us about the potential for a snap election?
Yeah, all of the leaders have really weighed in on this, and a number of them have already said they don't see how they can vote for it. Pierre Poilievre, as you had mentioned, Bloc leader Yves-François Blanchet as well. And those two hold a lot of votes, as you know. But then you have Don Davies of the NDP and Elizabeth May, who is the one Green seat in the House. And both of those two said they're open to more discussions and negotiations with Prime Minister Mark Carney on this budget, because we know that this is now a bill that will be before the House, and of course negotiations can happen, amendments can happen to the budget bill as well. So really it doesn't mean that today is the day when we are deciding whether or not this government will fall, Stefan. It will go through the process, it will go to committee, and some of those amendments could really change it in such a way that possibly the NDP could feel like they could have some of their members, some of their 7 members vote for it, and Elizabeth May be open to it as well. So certainly right now, the two other opposition parties, the Bloc Québécois and Conservatives, saying that they are opposing it, full stop, but there is an out for the Liberal Party in those two other parties in the House of Commons, and whether or not there will be any negotiations, that is up to the Prime Minister himself, and whether or not he wants to send Canadians back to the polls, because if the government does fall on the budget, we are headed to another election.
And Mike, what are people saying about the size of the public service and the cuts signaled in the budget? We heard from the Union Public Service Alliance of Canada even last week that almost suggests that the sky was falling when it came to the return of pre-pandemic levels of the workforce. Clearly, that's not the case.
Yeah, and certainly, of course, the unions do not want to see any kind of cuts in the public service, worried that that will mean a reduction in services. Now, François-Philippe Champagne, the finance minister, is saying we need to get the public service back to a sustainable level. We know that there are a number of cuts that they're looking at, and some through attrition as well. One of the issues in that is how will they get that done? They have not clearly sort of put a roadmap in this budget as to how they will see those cuts happen. But certainly there will be, again, some negotiations potentially with the public service unions on how this could roll out. The government has laid out in this budget document they want this to happen, and now the actual making of it happen and trying to make sure that this gets done in the way that does not affect services. That is something that the government is looking for, and the union, I'm sure, as well.
All right, CTV senior political correspondent Mike LeCouture reporting live for us tonight. Thank you, Mike. Taking a look now at some other notable items in the budget that will affect the National Capital Region. There are planned spending cuts at several federal departments, including Canadian Heritage, which is responsible for signature events like Winterlude and Canada Day. There is no mention of new funding for transit in Ottawa. There is a mention of support for the Bob McQuarrie Recreation Complex in Orleans. The amount of funding wasn't announced. And welcome news for the many Ottawa-Gatineau museums, the Canada Strong Pass, with discounts for access to attractions and via rail travel, will return for the holidays and the summer of 2026. And Sharon DeSousa, the president of the Public Service Alliance of Canada, will join us for a one-on-one interview to discuss the public service job cuts later in the newscast. We also have extended coverage of what's included in the federal budget and what it all means for those here in the capital. Just go to our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca. Still ahead, details of a data breach hitting City Hall. The private information of thousands of Ottawa residents exposed, but the city suggests the most sensitive info wasn't compromised. That story and more a little later. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass sky cam. The temperature right now, 8 degrees. And the sun was shining, no rain in sight, but this is all expected to change tomorrow. With the first check on weather, let's bring in Jackie Perez. And Jackie, you mentioned the snow word.
Yes, I hate to say that, but parts of the region could see snow as early as tomorrow. Now, right now, conditions here in Ottawa, it's clear right now. 5 degrees is what we're anticipating around the 9 o'clock hour. On the midnight hour, 2 degrees for the low, and then starting things off about 3 degrees. There's a slight chance we could start to see rain first thing in the morning, but it's really going to pick up by the afternoon, where we are anticipating between 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. So no snow for parts of Ottawa, but we may see it in parts of the valley. Yes, that could be by mid-Wednesday that we could see this really picking up around the 6 o'clock hour as well, close to Smiths Falls, just really focusing on west of Ottawa. But south of Ottawa, Brockville and Kingston, there could be heavier rainfall as well. So we're keeping a very close eye on this, but the good news is it's anticipated to clear by the time Thursday rolls around. Right now, temperatures across the region sitting between 8 and 9 degrees. We'll have a closer look at your long-term forecast in just a bit. Stefan.
Thank you, Jackie. An Ottawa man is facing charges in connection with 2 stabbings last month, one of which was fatal. The first happened on October 17th on King Edward Avenue near York Street. The second took place the following day on Cumberland Street near St. Patrick. During the first incident, a man was found unconscious with serious injuries. Police say he died in hospital on October 30th. In the second stabbing, the victim was a woman. She was brought to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Police announcing today that a 35-year-old man is now facing charges of second-degree murder and attempted murder. Police in Gatineau are investigating a fatal collision involving a pedestrian. It happened around 7 o'clock this morning near the intersection of Rue Berry and Rue de Metapédia. The pedestrian, a man in his 70s, was found at the scene with serious injuries. He was pronounced dead in hospital. Police say no charges will be laid against the driver. Well, they were meant to make streets safer. Now they're being shut down. Ottawa's photo radar cameras will go dark in just over a week, and the fallout could be significant, including lost revenue and potentially jobs. CTV's Caitlin Wilson joins us live now with more on this. Caitlin.
Yes, Stefan, according to an internal memo, the city will continue enforcing speed limits with photo radar until November 14th. That's when, under a new provincial law, municipalities must shut the cameras off. Along this stretch of 10th Line Road in Orleans, residents say speeding is constant, and this camera has forced drivers to slow down.
An hour ago, I just heard a couple of bikes go down here. You know, it's there's no control anymore.
November 14th will be its last day in operation, one of 60 across Ottawa going dark. That's when the Ford government's new law banning automated speed enforcement will take effect.
You agree in certain school areas, especially for smaller kids, they should keep them, but there's other locations that they put them where there is no school, so what's the point?
Ford just does something and it costs the municipalities more money. I think they should stay, but they're coming down.
Since the program launched in July 2020, more than 1 million tickets have been issued, generating about $60 million in 4 years, including $20 million so far this year.
That money will no longer exist. So the province is looking at making us whole, giving us that money, but those terms and conditions are still yet to be settled.
According to an internal city memo, staff are now assessing the operational impacts, including the fate of 122 employees tied to the program, with layoffs now a possibility.
That's something we're looking at right now. Unfortunately, those positions will no longer exist. So we'll have to wait and see.
The city's community safety zones will stay in place, meaning fines issued by police will still be doubled in those areas. And by September 2026, photo radar must be replaced with new signs featuring flashing lights.
We will have to look at other solutions to enforce speeds to make sure that our roads remain safe. But it's my intention to see more police officers hired next year as part of the police budget, and perhaps some of them will need to be used for that purpose.
And according to the city, any tickets issued before or on November 14th will still have to be paid, even if they arrive after the date. Red light cameras will remain in place and continue to operate as usual. Stefan?
CTV's Caitlin Wilson reporting live for us. Thank you, Caitlin. You can scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen to link to us online or visit ctvnewsottawa.ca. We have more details on the end of the photo radar camera program here in Ottawa and right across the province. In other news, former Ottawa Police Deputy Chief Uday Jaswal, who was charged with sexual assault, pleaded guilty this week to a lesser charge of breach of trust. The charge stems from an incident in 2011 when Jaswal was an acting inspector. According to the agreed statement of facts, Jaswal and a female officer met at his office while on duty, consumed alcohol, and engaged in sexual activity. Ontario's Special Investigations Unit charged Jaswal with sexual assault in 2024. Jaswal pleaded guilty Monday to a lesser charge of breach of trust and was given a 6-month conditional sentence. In a statement, Jaswal said his actions reflected a lapse of judgment and he has accepted responsibility. Freedom Convoy organizer Tamara Leach is appealing her mischief conviction from earlier this year. Leach's lawyers say they'll argue that while there was substantial evidence she encouraged protesters in the 2022 demonstration to be peaceful, lawful, and safe, there was no evidence linking her to the misdeeds of others. They also say the trial judge failed to consider the Charter guarantee of freedom of expression protects communication that would otherwise be mischief. A man considered one of the most powerful U.S. vice presidents in history has passed away. Dick Cheney served as vice president under George W. Bush, defense secretary under his father, George H.W. Bush, and as White House chief of staff for President Gerald Ford. A leading advocate for the invasion of Iraq, Cheney was also one of the most polarizing vice presidents in American history. In his later years, he became a vocal critic of President Trump. A family spokesperson says Cheney died Monday night of complications of pneumonia and cardiac and vascular disease. He was 84 years old.
Did they know about this on October the 3rd? And why did they wait 30 days to tell me so?
Coming up, the City of Ottawa says the emails and physical addresses of nearly 2,500 residents have been exposed in a data breach. Jackie.
Thanks so much, Stefan. We did have a little bit of a break from that unsettling weather from yesterday. Clear conditions tonight, about 5 degrees around the 8 o'clock hour. Tomorrow, though, we will see the return of some rain. We are anticipating between 5 to 10 millimeters, and that's just for the daytime. For now, here's a live look. There are Centennial glass sky cam. The conditions clear. The sun already set. It's 8 degrees.
Our popular Team of the Week segment is back. If you want to be a part of our Myers Automotive Group Team of the Week, upload your video to ctvnewsottawa.ca. The City of Ottawa is reporting a data breach involving emails and addresses linked through My ServiceOttawa accounts. The breach happened over a month ago on October 3rd and exposed the information of nearly 2,500 residents. CTV's Dylan Dyson has details.
The City of Ottawa is writing to inform you of a privacy breach.
Ottawa resident Laura Woldridge says she is fearful of her personal information being exposed after a data breach on a City of Ottawa website.
I had done some surveys, and I also had gone on it to apply to go to make reservations, like for swimming lessons, library stuff, things like that.
The city says on October 3rd, a My ServiceOttawa account used an automated program to access service requests. And due to a system error, users who knew specific service request numbers could access requests that were not their own.
They had said there was a breach done on October the 3rd. Yesterday was November the 3rd. So I'm concerned as, did they know about this on October the 3rd? And why did they wait 30 days to tell me so?
The city says approximately 2,454 users had their information exposed, which included email addresses and physical addresses associated with the service request. The city says no financial, password, or other sensitive data was accessed.
It's making me aware of using any service account for any level of government now. You can't trust them with your personal information anymore. They have to take responsibility.
In a statement, the city says it has taken measures to ensure similar incidents do not happen again, writing, "All required notifications have taken place, which includes notices to affected individuals and the Information and Privacy Commissioner of Ontario."
They've offered us absolutely nothing, just to watch our emails and contact them if anything is suspicious. Don't open any attachments, where other companies that have breaches would offer you monitoring for 2 years.
Dylan Dyson, CTV News.
After a rainy start to the week, the sunshine has returned to Ottawa. A beautiful day over at Claudette Kane Park along the Rideau River, but some more rain is headed our way. Jackie is here with a closer look at the forecast and, some flurries and snow and wet stuff on the way, although we did enjoy today, Jackie.
We did enjoy today, and the good news is, Stefan, that today's daytime highs with the sunshine saw some double-digit temperatures. Woo! So I'm going to take the win for this as well. 12 degrees is what we saw today, but with the sun setting, we are now at 8 degrees. A little bit of that cloud cover, but it is expected to clear into the overnight hours, where we will see an overnight low about 2 degrees. So good news still above the freezing mark. Tomorrow, though, we are only getting to a daytime high of 6 degrees. And yeah, anticipate 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. And not only are you going to want to bring that umbrella, you want your thicker coat as well. And some parts of the region, as we mentioned, could see maybe possibly up to 2 centimeters of snow by Wednesday evening. And what part of the region? Well, looking at Pembroke here, Renfrew County, you can really see that for Wednesday into the afternoon and early evening, even just west of Ottawa. So Smiths Falls is where there could be some light flurries moving through, but for the most part we are anticipating rain. It is going to clear though by the time we get to Thursday, so we do have a little bit of that off again, on again weather continuing really throughout this week, and that's the name of the game. Tonight's lows across the region sitting between 1 to 2 degrees, partly cloudy conditions, but mostly clear for here in Gatineau as well as in Kemptville and here in Ottawa. Tomorrow's daytime highs, we are going to be floating between 3, 4, and even 5 degrees in Cornwall, 4 in Ottawa, and about 2 to 3 degrees around the valley as well. So anticipating a little bit of that snowfall as well, but mostly it's going to be rainy conditions. Looking across Canada now, you can see Fredericton sitting around 6 degrees, chance of rain really moving through as well, very similar to what we are seeing here in eastern Ontario for the last couple of days. Toronto, though, still at double-digit temperatures at 11, Windsor sitting at 13 degrees. And as we look to our friends in the prairies, yes, lots of sunshine, but they are also experiencing that chilly, brisky weather. 6 degrees, 5 degrees in Edmonton as well. Now, when we look towards the 7-day forecast, that's brought to you by Davidson Hearing Aid Centers, celebrating over 80 years in family business. Wednesday, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain. Thursday, Friday, we are averaging temperatures really in the low single digits. And Friday, while we don't have that weather or that chance of snow here for tomorrow, it is anticipated we could see periods of rain, possibly mixing with snow, for our Friday. Not quite looking forward to that, Stefan.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Maybe a lot of people feel the same for sure. Just ahead, a shortage of prescription painkillers in Canada was supposed to be resolved this fall, but that will no longer be the case. We'll have those details coming right up. In tonight's Big Picture, a zoo in the UK has welcomed 2 new members. Kendi and Tafari, 2 Northeast African cheetah brothers, are getting a chance to explore their new home for the first time. The 1-year-old siblings arrived at the zoo as part of a conservation effort to help prevent the species from becoming extinct. Northeast African cheetahs are one of the world's rarest big cats. Now, some other stories you need to know right now. Ottawa Public Health says it will need additional funding from the province to help cover budgetary pressures for 2026. The Board of Health received the draft budget yesterday. It calls for $88 million in spending next year, up nearly 3% from this year. OPH is facing a nearly $4 million shortfall in 2026, and while it has its own plan to help cover that, it is asking the province for an additional funding. A reminder to drivers about traffic disruptions in the downtown core. Work began today on a bike lane redesign at the intersection of Laurier Avenue and Elgin Street. The westbound cycling lane will be converted to a raised cycle track on the north side of Laurier Avenue. Queen Elizabeth driveways on and off ramps will also be realigned. There will be lane reductions in the area during construction. Drivers should expect delays, especially during peak hours. A shortage of prescription painkillers caused by manufacturing disruptions is expected to continue into the new year. It impacts drugs containing acetaminophen with oxycodone, such as Percocet. The shortage was expected to last until the fall, and while some medications like Tylenol 3 are now back in stock, the Canadian Pharmacists Association says it will take more time to replenish the supply of other painkillers.
This new brand is our promise to see the strength, not the struggle. It's a promise to our patients, to families, to staff, and to our community that we will continue to redefine how mental illness and addiction are understood, experienced, and supported.
Ottawa's mental health care hospital, the Royal, unveiling new branding today. The Royal says it's marking 115 years of its evolution, from its roots as a psychiatric hospital to now a leader in mental illness treatment as well as research and advocacy. Coming up, the national president of the Public Service Alliance of Canada will join us live to discuss the federal budget and the government's plan to cut thousands of public service positions. Stay with us.
Get the latest live local breaking news. Sign up now for our morning and evening CTV News Ottawa newsletter. The best local content from CTV News, Your Morning Ottawa, and News Talk 580 CFRA. Get it all in one place. Sign up now at ctvnewsottawa.ca. The CTV News Ottawa newsletter is brought to you in part by CAA Business.
We're turning now to our top story, the federal government unveiling its budget today, which includes tens of billions of dollars in new spending, but also thousands of public service job cuts. The plan is to reduce the size of the federal public service by 28,000 jobs by 2029 through cuts, attrition, and early retirements as part of a plan to save billions of dollars. Joining us live in studio right now to discuss this is Sharon DeSousa, the national president of the Public Service Alliance of Canada. Thank you so much for being with us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
What is your reaction to what you heard today? Because I know that you're warning Canadians that this could be as high as 70,000 if they were truly interested in bringing the workforce back down to pre-pandemic levels. We've calculated about 28,000. We know that there are a few different numbers out there suggesting more, maybe even a little less. But are you relieved?
No, not at all. In fact, I'm quite irate. The fact that there's so many different numbers out there. And I have to say the budget has to be looked at with a fine-tooth comb. What we know right now is the numbers that are out there. Everyone has a different take. But I have to tell you, every single one of those jobs reflect to public services that are being delivered. And we just saw 10,000 jobs cut last year, and certain departments and agency had to rehire people. Look at what's happening at Canada Revenue Agency. They're not able to meet their service standards. As far as I'm concerned, these cuts will impact people who rely on the services more than ever. And we polled ourselves, the public, and the public has told us what they want this government to do is make life more affordable for them, not impact them by cuts to public services that they rely on.
Which services are you particularly concerned about?
I'm really concerned about health care. I'm concerned about the benefits people rely on, employment insurance. We're talking about compassionate care benefits, passports. What I'm worried about right now is that they're looking at this from a very corporate cookie cutter approach instead of looking at it from what do people need right now. And you know what? It's jobs. And when you cut that many jobs from the federal public service, you're impacting local economies.
So I understand here in Ottawa, we are particularly sensitive to public service workers. Our friends, our families, our neighbors, our loved ones are heavily employed by the federal government. What do you say to Canadians who suggest this union isn't reading the room on a national level, where they do believe that there is fat that needs to be trimmed and they're less concerned about those positions?
Well, it's funny how you look at things, right? Without a doubt, can any organization look at itself and figure out ways for cost savings and, you know, look at it from that perspective? Yes, there are ways of doing that. But I have to tell you, in an economy where the public sector has been hit so hard, what is a good job? It is a job within the federal public service. And right now, if that's what you're cutting, then where's the work coming from? And when we talk about innovation and we talk about bringing in new industries, guess what? You need those federal public sector jobs to help support it. When you're looking to put a patent in and process it, guess what? You need to go to a patent office to have it done. In fact, when you're looking to build a new factory, you need to do an environmental scan. Who's going to do that work? Those are federal public sector jobs that are making those services. So as far as I'm concerned, when you look at the government and what their priorities are, if you don't have that infrastructure in place, then guess what? You're going to fail. And right now, those cuts have already started to fail, and they're failing the public.
From your perspective, is there any optimism in this budget? Are you feeling encouraged by defense spending and the fact that perhaps the capital is a defense hub and that there could be opportunities for those workers to pivot in a different direction?
Well, right now, I have to say the budget document is quite dense. There are some good things in there, but what concerns me is you can't isolate one department. Each department is interconnected. And when we're talking about the safety of Canadians, well, that's great that you're looking at CBSA, you're looking at, national defense. But I have news for you. What about food security? Canada Food Inspection Agency hasn't seen an increase of inspectors in so long. And with the cuts that we're seeing down south to us with the tariffs, as well as the inspection, how are we going to make our food safe? How are we going to do that inspection? And so as far as I'm concerned, what this government fails to see is the way those departments and agencies interconnect.
All right, Sharon DeSousa, National President of the Public Service Alliance of Canada. That's all the time we have, but we appreciate you making time for us today. And if you learn anything more about specifics from the Treasury Board, please let us know.
Definitely.
We have more details on the federal budget and the government's plan to cut public service jobs in the coming years. You can find more stories on our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca.
That weather's just around the corner. All the shops are busy now.
Just ahead, we explain why winter tires could cost you more this year. Stay with us. As the weather gets colder, many drivers are starting to think about switching to winter tires, but they will likely cost you more this year because of tariffs and inflation. CTV's Pat Foran reports.
It's the calm before the storm at DeGroot's Tirecraft in Scarborough. While many drivers don't switch over their tires until the first snowfall, some are planning ahead so they're ready for winter and colder temperatures.
That weather's just around the corner. all the shops are busy now, so the sooner the better.
Mike DeGroot has been in the tire business for over 40 years. He says softer rubber compounds, better traction, and shorter braking distances on ice and snow make winter tires the safer choice.
I think that it's a challenge to drive in the winter weather now, and people are becoming more aware of that. They're more educated, so they know the value of a good winter tire.
Depending on the set of tires you buy, you could pay about 5% more, mostly related to tariffs, inflation, and other factors. Despite the rising price of winter tires, a new survey by the Tire and Rubber Association of Canada finds many drivers believe it's worth the extra cost. The survey finds 80% of Canadian drivers now use winter tires. That number drops slightly to 77% in Ontario. Even though 84% say winter tires have saved them from an accident or loss of control, 32% say they're less likely to buy winter tires because of increased financial burdens.
Canadians everywhere are feeling some financial pressures and pinches due to the higher cost of living.
Despite the added costs, the association says drivers can get a break on their car insurance premiums, as well as take advantage of rebates and tire sales.
Having a dedicated winter tire means a sure-footed, confident drive.
Another tire growing in popularity is the all-weather tire. It's a hybrid which combines the attributes of an all-season and winter tire into one tire. You can leave them on your car all year long.
Our testing, they absolutely work. They are not as superior as a winter tire in no conditions, but they are definitely better than all seasons.
If you need to buy or switch your tires, it's recommended you don't wait till the snow flies, or you can expect long lineups at tire shops. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Coming up, People magazine unveils its selection for one of its most anticipated titles of the year. Those details just ahead. Jackie.
Thanks so much, Stefan. So we had a bit of a break in the wet weather, but it's expected to return tomorrow. Here in Ottawa, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain, very similar for the Seaway, but they will be reaching about 10 degrees. It's parts of the valley, though, that could see some snowfall with the rain mixed in and heavier rain as well. I'm anticipating 10 to 15 millimeters. Meanwhile, back here, downtown Ottawa, clear skies. Enjoy this evening. Current temperature is 8 degrees.
Tonight. When did you first discover that you had this?
When I was 16 years old.
He spent his entire life suffering in silence.
I had to go grab the coffee, almost third-degree burns on your arm.
Until a chance encounter on the job.
She immediately looked at me and said,
I can fix that.
How this award-winning cameraman got a second shot.
I wonder, what else would I do? What else would I do?
Tonight on CTV National News and at ctvnews.ca.
Hairstyles, courtesy of Salon Fiorella.
Breaking news, confirmation this hour that there will be a floor crossing in the House of Commons. Nova Scotia MP Chris D'Entremont has just released a statement saying he is joining the Liberal caucus. He announced his resignation from the Conservative Party moments after the budget was tabled this afternoon. This now means the Liberals are just 2 votes away from having enough support to pass the budget again. If this budget does not pass, it could see Canadians back at the polls for a snap election next month. Here's a recap of the top stories we're following right now.
Are we finding the right balance between asking a younger demographic to contribute, asking an older demographic to contribute, and then trying to find efficiencies within the civil service itself and how much they're going to contribute?
The federal government unveils its latest budget, presenting a plan for major infrastructure and industrial investment, but also federal service job cuts.
It does affect what money we do have for road safety action programs.
The clock is ticking on Ottawa's photo radar cameras, which are set to go dark on November 14th after the province passed a law banning them.
It's making me aware of using any service account for any level of government now.
The City of Ottawa says the emails and physical addresses of nearly 2,500 residents have been exposed in a data breach, but no financial, password, or other sensitive data were accessed. Now for a final check on the weather forecast, here's Jackie. Things are getting colder out there.
It is. Unfortunately, with that will come the potential of some snow. Not for here in Ottawa, though. Chance of showers to start us off, but we will likely get that rainfall, 5 to 10 millimeters, only a daytime high of 4 degrees for Wednesday. And then take a look at Friday and even potentially Sunday, where we could see flurries and snow making an appearance here in the capital.
Okay, I love that you say that with a smile, Jackie. Thank you. Finally, for us tonight, People magazine has named this year's Sexiest Man Alive. The magazine has selected actor Jonathan Bailey. The choice was announced last night on The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon. Bailey called it an honor of a lifetime, but also said it is completely absurd. The 37-year-old gained popularity for his roles as Lord Anthony Bridgerton on Netflix's Bridgerton and as Prince Fiyero in his 2024 big screen debut in Wicked. Bailey will be the cover story in the People magazine edition coming out Friday, along with his dog, Benson. What are your thoughts, Jackie?
No, it was funny because very timely the other day I was just actually watching Jurassic World Rebirth. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's in it too. But yes, I know him from Fiyero. I know a lot of people in the newsroom did not. They're like, who is this guy? Where's he from?
When you see his face, you know.
You know.
Yeah, for sure. That is CTV News for tonight. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. You can keep up to date online, ctvnewsottawa.ca. You can also watch our newscast live on the CTV News app. And for news on the go, listen to News Talk Radio 580 CFRA. For all of us here at CTV News, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night. Join us at 11:30.